Hi. It's not a good night for me. So,
And we
I swear to God, that felt like Bruce
we are
Willis.
a day late, but hopefully not a dollar short. But we also got Mr. Baylor the Great is in the building.
Yeah, and I keep that thing going. You know what I'm saying?
Pop, pop.
We also got the red wine connoisseur himself, Marquis.
What's up? I got my red bottle of Marquis up in this bitch. Got my goat hat on. It's
All
on.
right, so we got a lot of shit to get into this week. First off, a couple of things that did not, that came out after I made this list. So first up, J. Cole has officially announced the offseason. His next album comes out next Friday on the 14th. What are you guys' expectations for a new album from J. Cole? Mary, I always come to you first on the first topic. Go ahead.
I'm hyped for it, but I'm hoping it's not like the last one
Okay.
where it was like he was a feature on his own album. So, let's see. I mean, listen, we are in desperate need of some new music from the greats. So,
Yeah. Last that you're referring to Revenge of the Dreamers 3? Is that the last one? Okay.
yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Okay, cool. Baylor, what do you think?
Well, it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those things where the world stops because I would say since we've gotten King Disease and Busta album as well, this is probably gonna be one of those refreshing albums.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. Hey, look, he's a young cat, so I expect for him to talk about a lot. It's not gonna be one of those things like what is he gonna talk
Yeah.
about? But at the same time, you never know. Being stuck in dealing with the pandemic and things like that is gonna be interesting to see what he talks about an album.
And he said he did say in his little post that he's been working on this for a year. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see like what content is in that album marquee. What do you think about the next J. Cole album?
I gotta be honest. So I wasn't that impressed with Kids on Drug and the other album before that. Um, they were okay. My question, and Mary, you just brought this up. When did he become a great? I just out of curiosity, when did he become one of
Forest
the
Hill
greats?
Drive.
That's the
That's the
album.
album
Okay.
I think that
So
solidified him
before
as great.
as a great. Okay,
I would agree.
I agree with that too. The two albums before that, how did we
Well,
perceive
the
him?
problem with his first album was that his mixtape that should have been the album was a classic, and that in his first album was kind of forgettable. What was the second album? Born Sinner.
Mm-hmm.
That was it showed evolution as an artist, but it you see I almost just forgot. I honestly, other than Cricket Smile, I think I forget about. I don't even know what the standout track on that album was, to be honest with you.
I mean, well, let's not get too far away.
Being a great, I think for go ahead. Go. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
In different ways. A lot of people will argue, and I'm not saying me. A lot of people will argue that Jada might not have a classic album. We already know what it is about Three Stacks,
Mm-hmm.
but these are legendary artists in general. So does he have to have a classic album to be a great? To me,
I mean,
no.
he does have a classic album. I don't think any people would argue that he has a classic album. So even if that's the gateway of entry, he has that. But I think you can be great without a singular classic album. It matters about your content and the impact that you have. Maybe not even on the listeners, but sometimes the artists around you. And I think if J. Cole wasn't sandwiched between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, it would be completely different. That's why that middle child song had so much meaning, because he is sandwiched between two people that almost every rip sell more than him. But I mean, clearly, I think J. Cole's growth as an artist and his impact as not only just an artist, but also as someone who is a boss in his own right, is has solidified his legendary status to me. Now, that's just to me. That's my
No,
personal criteria. Go ahead.
I agree with you. The reason I was asking that because when you brought it up, Mary, that he's a great. I just want to identify. For me, he became great when Nas addressed that
Mm,
song. I let
okay,
Nas down. The
that is
fact
on
that
Born Center,
Nas,
right?
that's the song "Let Nas Down" is on Born Center, but the remix isn't there. Like his verse isn't there.
Yeah.
The fact that he stepped down from his throne to address that,
Mm,
that said something to me because Nas wouldn't step down for anybody to do something like that, which was to me, a moment in hip hop. Like, you've been anointed by the greats. Obviously, Jay signed you, but you've been anointed by the other great, the other Titan. You know what I mean? So that's all. As far as his album, I'm looking forward to it because, like you all said, we need something refreshing. We need to hear something new. We're going to talk about a few other albums that came out, but I'm interested. The other singles that he dropped, him dissing. Look, those are little side things that he did. Let's move past that. Hopefully, this is one of those albums that would be refreshing, something that we need, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm on a positive vibe today. So the Green Ranger is helmet off.
All right, cool. Mary, do you have anything to add to that till we move on? Before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. Next one that came out after we made this list. So TDE has been hyping this release that's coming out tomorrow. If you listen to, the day of that you guys will be listening to this because it'll be released on the 7th. Of course, that immediately sent us, everybody else initially think it was Kendrick. Seems like it's actually going to be an Isaiah Rashad, not even an album. Seems like it's just going to be a single because he is releasing a video, I think, tonight at midnight, Isaiah Rashad for sure. So it seems like there's going to be linked to that. Now, what I will say is that Isaiah Rashad is an amazing artist. He is an artist that I do look forward to hearing music from, but I think that TDE may have let him down with the way that this rollout was because people are automatically going to think it's Kendrick considering how long it's been since we got new Kendrick music. Do you guys agree? Is this going to hurt Isaiah Rashad's rollout of this single album, whatever it is? Or do you think it's going to be something that once it's out, if it's good, people aren't going to think about it? Marquis, I'll come to you first.
I agree with that. I think if it comes out and he doesn't disappoint, people will appreciate it. The great thing about this marketing technique is we're listening. We're looking forward to something coming out. And if it's him, he just better bring it. He just better live up to that hype because if it is dope, all ears are on him.
Okay, for sure, Baylor.
Oh yeah, we kind of upset over here. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna even hold you. But don't get me wrong though, like, I think it's a certain demographic that's going to be like, all right, I'm upset, but let me see what the fuss is about. I'm still gonna listen. And again, it's nothing against him. It's just that we haven't heard K Dot in so long. And because of how the rollout came about, we like, yo, there's got to be something major. I even had cats saying, I'm fine with if it's Absol because we haven't heard from him in years.
Exactly.
But the thing is, it's like I think they know that at this point. I think they know. So I honestly thought it would be K Dot. And I don't know what it is, but I'm still holding on to that. But I'm still gonna listen regardless. And I like the video. I'm going to watch the video. I'm going to assume that the video is going to be dope. But I don't know, man. I think they're doing more. They're more. I wouldn't say they're doing damage, but a lot of people are going to be upset come tomorrow. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the wrong word. Not upset. I think a little bit more frustrated at this point. You know what I mean? Because Cass is just waiting on K Dot, man. That's it.
I agree with everything said above.
Just say you agree, Hayes.
I feel like if music is dope, then people will overlook the confusion and the hype. But I would love to talk to whoever works in marketing and that came up with this strategy. Because I think a lot of people were let down, myself included, that it was not K Dot. And our group chat was ablaze for all our listeners out there with speculation. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe this was all part of the plan, that they knew that people were going to assume that it was Kendrick, and it could have been used to give a little bit more notice to Isaiah Rashad, someone who is, like I said, is a dope artist. He's nowhere near the legend of Kendrick. I mean, the level of Kendrick, but he's a dope artist in his own right. So maybe this gets some new eyes to him, because at this point, all eyes are on TDE at midnight to see whatever they're going to be releasing. That's just period. Now, moving on from that, something that we talk a lot about, off and on here, it periodically pops up. That's ownership. That's us owning our own shit. The next two topics kind of fall in line with that in different ways. So Birdman has actually come out, who rarely talks about the exact amount of money that he makes and stuff like this. He's I don't think Birdman ever is like even in the top 10 of Forbes, but has said that he gets about 20 to 30 million dollars from just owning masters. And he talked about how he started letting people sample their stuff, and there's a lot of ways to make money off ownership. Now, we to use the flip side of that, we talked about how Lil Wayne sold masters of Young Money from his albums, Drake's albums, and Nicki Minaj's albums. I think the figure that for that was for $50 million. That makes this looks even more, that move even more idiotic, because you would have to think that if Birdman is generating 20 to 30 million dollars a year, Drake and Nicki's masters alone at some point, if not now, are going to be worth that much. What do you guys think about that one, Baylor? I haven't come to you first yet, so I'll come to you first on this
Shit. It seemed like a lot of people in that camp couldn't count. That's what it looks like. Uh, shit.
What did Pusha T?
But
That doesn't something when you let baby divide the pie. So I mean, hey, there you go.
yeah. But
You're
I
really
mean,
trying to
but
get that in there, aren't you?
when you circle back and you bring up Wayne, bro, that's actually sad though. You know what I mean? Especially when we watched him grow up and he was like one of the main artists on that label. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I was actually surprised that he did release that information though. You know, he is a cat that if you ask him a question, he will get up and walk out. He doesn't have to address anybody. So I mean, hey, look, man, we know what it is. And we have so many examples of the record business on the record side. I mean, the record label side, and from your friends and family. So if newer artists can't see this, I'm not sure what else. I don't know. I don't know what other example you need.
There you go, Mary.
Um, I feel like this has been like a cautionary tale, right? And yet a lot of people still don't learn, because you still are seeing or hearing about people signing fugazi contracts and deals. And like you said, to kind of start this segment, ownership is key. And when you own your masters, that's something that's going to pay off for a lifetime. Like, you know what I mean? For your family. So, yeah, I definitely think that everyone should really be inspired by this and kind of like take note when they're looking over their whack deal. Because everyone who's, new in the game usually gets a bum deal in the beginning. I think that needs to change too. So I feel like if I were a young artist right now, I would really be studying the strategy that these dudes really employed.
Especially if you're an artist who comes in and you've kind of generated your own buzz, because we know now that artists can completely, like, being independent can get themselves to a point. Matter of fact, one of the artists that we're going to be reviewing later kind of worked himself into contract with Interscope, and we'll talk about that. I think that if you do that, if you come in with a solid base, if you come in with some solid streaming numbers already independently, you should be negotiating at least a percentage of owning your masters out the gate. Maybe not outright, but maybe a percentage. I'm not sure how that works, but Marquis, what do you think?
It's kind of shitty that he's saying that, because I imagine how Juvenile and the rest of them are feeling right now, hearing that information. How much are they getting? How much of those royalties that those masters are they generating? You know what I mean? Like, we do this shit to ourselves, and he just basically bragged. I make $20-30 million a year just off masters. What about your artists? How much do they make? And have we heard from them since? What are they doing? Are they going to be another Black Rob situation where you're bragging about how much money you make and then where your artists at? So I don't know. If he's taking care of his people, that's one thing. But if not,
now I will say this isn't up to date or anything that I've read recently, but I know when Juvenile left Cash Money initially, and then he came back and re-signed with Cash Money, he did say that he's been made whole, at least at that point. Now that was almost a decade ago at this point, so who knows how that's held up or not. But at least Juvenile, like somebody who's left Cash Money, been disgruntled, has come back and now is seemingly, I don't know if he's still signed or not, but he works with Baby semi consistently. So like maybe he is taken care of. Maybe they've learned from the issues with Wayne and whatever. And then even though Wayne missed out on a lot of money, reportedly, like he hundreds of millions of dollars that he didn't get that he probably should have. Cash Money, when he left, did give him ownership of the Masters. Now he sold it, he didn't hold on to it, so maybe they've kind of learned from that as well.
We got to follow up on that. We
Yeah.
haven't heard anything else after that. We do need to follow up on that because you heard it, there it is, and it's gone. And I know, like, usually when something like that happens, there's a story behind that. We haven't heard anything, so I would love to hear the follow up to that.
Yeah, definitely. But on the flip side of that, and this is, as much as we talk about ownership, the American dream is being able to flip something for more money than what you get it. And Jay-Z sold his part in Tidal for $350 million. Now, I do want to preface this by saying when he bought into Tidal, and a lot of people have the perspective that he started Tidal. He didn't. Tidal was already a company that he bought into for $56 million. So to go around and turn that around to almost a $300 million profit margin for something you did not originate, that is a hell of it. I know we talk about ownership. I know even when that was initially, when I retweeted it, I was like, wow, that's surprising that he would sell it. But I mean, it's a hell of an investment. And the good thing about being at the level of Jay-Z, he can start another streaming platform today, and it be profitable. Mary, what do you think about Jay-Z selling his portion of Tidal for $350 million?
I think Jay-Z said it best when he said that he's not a businessman, he's a businessman. Like, that was a boss move right there. Again, I hope our young generation is taking notes.
Yeah.
I mean, don't let it go over your head, y'all. Like, these are the people, I mean, listen, I could continue on with Jay-Z quotes all night, right? Like, he definitely drops game on us, and a lot of people just don't pay attention. So I just hope people are paying attention.
I feel it.
I mean, that's the approach that I think people, no matter what you're in, if it's the music industry, whatever industry you work in, you should really be trying to make boss moves like this. So, yeah, kudos to him.
Definitely.
Can I get $5?
Just think about that. Jay-Z can literally write us a check that would change our lives, that wouldn't even affect. Like, imagine if Jay-Z walked in and wrote you a check for $100,000. That's a blip on the radar for him. That's the story for another day. Baylor, what do you think?
Well, like, can we ask him if he could? You know what I mean? If he want to invest in us, because we'll definitely triple the profits. It's just another J move, man. I don't know what to say at this point. It's like, this is what he do. And I'm pretty sure the next single that he drops or the next album, if we're blessed to get that, I'm pretty sure he's going to tell us that he made another Billy next to his other Billy. You know what I'm saying? Next to B. So, and you know what? I would love to see, like, I see what Nas is doing. You know what I mean? Like, Nas is on that wave as well. Still a little bit cooler. You know what I mean? You got Master P, but we need more though. Because when I see stuff like this and when I hear stuff like this and like what Marquise just said when we was talking about Birdman, like, yo, what about Black Rob though?
Yeah.
Like, Black Rob probably don't need to be a billionaire, but he could have been living good, and he should have been living good. You know what I mean? So that's cool. We got the Titans up there, and it's less than a handful of them, but that says a lot, bro. I mean, I'm not here to rain on the parade, but it's like, yo, what about everybody else at this point? Like, I'm used to seeing Jay up there. Now I need to see everybody else.
I like it, Marquis.
Yeah, I gotta applaud this, man. So Tidal was bound to fail. Here's why. Most people who started adopting the streaming service was on Apple because you're Apple users. The people who got pissed off at Apple migrated to Spotify. Spotify basically diversified the portfolio with podcasts, dominated the market, curated music for you based